Day 2 of me rewatching and reviewing The Legend of Korra every day until I finish the series. Let's get straight to the pros and cons for the episode. My first pro for this episode was subtle storytelling. In this scene we can observe that as Korra is about to start her training, she has her sleeves pulled all the way up, a gentle way of showing she is not one to follow tradition or customs. But we also see Tenzin pull the sleeves down, a great way of showing how attached he is to his tradition and culture. One is an airbender, the other certainly is not, and that is displayed with my next pro. Number 2. Korra's hard-headed nature and her personality of always rushing into problems is punished immediately using the leaf training. A beautiful way of showing this stubborn girl that you cannot run into your problems. You need to stop, plan ahead, adapt to your situation and find a way through. This is the kind of teaching Korra needed. The only one she will listen to. But I'm also going to convert the same thing into a con. So, con number 1. Korra's bad nature is still getting rewarded, and that apology at the very end does little to actually solve anything. In this episode, I watched Korra continue being the same stubborn and insensitive brat that I saw in episode 1, even shouting at Tenzin and giving a gigantic attitude when all Tenzin is trying to do is help. She even burns down and destroys what Tenzin said were 2,000-year-old artifacts. But it's okay, right? Because at the end of the episode she apologized, while we see the acolytes rebuilding what she broke, which is kind of the worst part for me. We are seeing a visual representation of other people fixing Korra's messes, the same way it was Tenzin who wiped her criminal record clean for her in episode 1. People, this did not have to be who she is as a character. Rebellious natures for teenagers are okay, but every comment I got that was defending her was leaving out that she wasn't just being rebellious, she was committing actual crimes and getting away with it. And in the context of this episode, destroying those airbending artifacts was something she can't just take back. This is not justifiable behavior. This is a behavior of a brat who was never told the word no, which harkens back to when she was 4 years old and she destroyed that wall. If her parents taught her something about not destroying personal property or just not destroying anything out of anger or playfulness, this kind of behavior would not be showing up again. But as I'm seeing this scene happen, I am convinced her parents never really told her that wasn't okay to do. So don't give me that excuse, because it just shows you aren't willing to hold people properly accountable. There was even one comment saying, did I expect Korra to go to prison? No, I expected Tenzin to be straightforward with her. Either she clean up her act or she returns back to the south. Mind you, Tenzin is paying her bills, letting her live at his house with his family for free, and even providing protection 24/7 with the White Lotus. But even this is seen as a bad thing, leading me to con number 2. Her learning the leaf training immediately was badly done here. She was pushed to the corner and suddenly, boom, she's moving like an airbender. This shows a lack of understanding for the philosophy and nature of airbending. And I feel like she learned this at this very moment simply as a way the writers are using to say Tenzin is the one who is wrong. Which, don't get me wrong, in a way he absolutely is. But this is also like saying that Tenzin is wrong to warn Korra against being so hot-headed and reckless, which loses the message and muddies the waters entirely. Let's get to my final pro. Pro bending is kind of awesome. Of course bending would end up becoming a sport. Heck, it already kind of was in the Earth Kingdom. So to see it evolve into a public sport that people are enjoying feels like a natural progression for bending. Even the modern way of bending being quick jabs and kicks. This is a modern time with modern skills. My final con is the lack of setup for the Equalists. We got practically nothing to advance their plot and position in the story in this episode. There will be no summary today either, but the episode rating will be an 8 out of 10 as well. I can't give it a higher rating because in this episode, there is zero setup for the Equalists, which you'd think for a season with only 13 episodes, they would do absolutely everything they can to plan things out in a way that justifies the villain's presence or their connection to Korra. But we get none of that. The other is how the story is handling Korra as being right in how she's behaving, which she certainly is not. Which also ties into my thoughts on them painting Tenzin as the old man who has a lot to learn regarding teenagers, when Korra isn't just being a teenager, she is being a delinquent. There is a big difference here. Korra was committing actual crimes, and we are just letting her off for it. Seems like privilege to me. Anyway, see you tomorrow for episode 3.